All right, everyone. You should have reviewed the documents that I've uploaded for your ELA work this week. And this week, our focus is opinion writing. And just like we do in class, I provided this example that I'm going to go through right now. I've already have it completed and filled out, so you don't have to do that on your own. But then throughout the week, you will work on doing this yourself, using this guide to help you. You'll go through the writing process, and at the end of the week, you will self-assess using the rubric that I use to assess you normally. So that's what you have here, and it's also in the files I sent, the two conventions, so we're looking for more of our grammar, and then our content rubric, looking at your content, your details, your elaboration, your text evidence, the focus of your paper, all those things that we talk about. So what I'm going to do is just review with you the example essay. First, you can pause, rewind, go back throughout the week when you are working on each paragraph, as well as even your planning, and then writing your conclusion. And then, like I said, you should use the rubrics at the end of the week to self-assess before we move on to next week's lesson. So after you reviewed all of those documents, I included a planning sheet, a cheeseburger model if you want to use that or rewrite that in your notebook. Feel free to do that, obviously. You can print out and use the packet that I uploaded, or you can simply just do it all in a notebook and just look at these documents on your device, or even type it if you want to in a Word document or whatever else you want to use. So here is the example. So I have the three sources here, and we know the first thing we do is that we go to our directions page. So our directions page, the directions say, the passages you read were about bike sharing. Write an essay in which you give your opinion about whether or not a bike sharing program would work in your community. Use information from the sources in your essay. And we know that we need to read the passages, plan the responses, write the responses, and edit and revise before we finish. And then we know that we have to have an introduction, support, which is important, to support your opinion, which is why this is different than informative. We are not just taking that role of being an objective writer as like a teacher would be, but now we're sharing our own opinion based on the text evidence that we are given and which side that we should support based on how much text evidence is given. And then obviously our conclusion. So we have to write our multi-paragraph essay. We know that's 5 paragraphs. So when you're going through this and doing this yourself, we want to make sure that we're identifying the type of essay, which we know it's an opinion essay, and we know what the main idea is. And we know the main idea, it says right here, whether or not a bike sharing program would work in your community. So you want to make sure that you underline those two things. All right, so we're writing an opinion essay, 5 paragraphs on this topic. So I've already completed the plan, the cheeseburger model, and again, use this as your reference guide when you're constructing your own, but you can also do this in your notebook or on the blank planning sheet I uploaded for you. So here at the top, we said in the top bun, the main idea, which it is an opinion essay, and it's a bike sharing program would work in my community. And I've obviously come to that decision after I've read all 3 sources. But you want to make sure that you put your main idea up here so you don't stray from what is the focus of the story, which obviously is in the rubric of the essay, and that is in the rubric that you'll be assessed on. So you'll want to read all 3 sources and see I've gone through. And when I did this, I starred and underlined critical information and evidence that I would then put into my detail boxes in my subtopics. So you want to make sure you're doing that. So after you construct your plan, you're going to read source 1, you're going to read source 2, and again, look for those keywords. I circled some key vocabulary words to make sure that we have domain-specific vocabulary that we're referencing. Source 3, there's 3 sources, and they're all about bike sharing. So, like I said, I came to the conclusion that a bike sharing program would work in my community, and I did that because I saw that there was more sufficient evidence for that stance versus why we shouldn't have a bike sharing program, and I decided that based on sufficient evidence. So make sure that even if you maybe in this circumstance personally don't think that a bike sharing program would be beneficial, look for the evidence and use that to your advantage so that you have enough evidence to support your reasonings in 3 body paragraphs. So that's important. So what I decided was, after I read my 3 sources, I decided the 3 subtopics, one for each body paragraph, would be the convenience to citizens and cities. So convenience, health and financial benefits. So it talked a lot about the different types of benefits. So health and finances were 2 things that they talked about. So I grouped those together in a subtopic. And then the benefits, not towards individuals, but the city as a whole. What would that do? That would decrease traffic, decrease pollution, and increase jobs, because it talked in the sources that you'll read, it talks about how this program, in order to develop it and implement it, we have to create new jobs. So that would be positive. So after I've put in those 3 subtopics, then I'm going to put in my details. And remember, these are those 3 sentences in your body paragraphs that are going to be rich with details stemming from the text. So you want to go back, and those important details and text evidence that you've underlined, then you can come back and start filling those in into your detail boxes. So these 3 go with subtopic 1, these 3 subtopic 2, and these 3 subtopic 3. And that's what keeps us organized so that we have a cohesive paragraph. So after we've done that, then you need to go back and you need to write in your hook. So maybe something that you read kind of caught your eye, and you start it, or you identify it in some way, and you're going to develop that into your own hook to grab your reader's attention. Again, we don't have to just start with did you know questions. We can start with some visual imagery. Imagine seeing more bikes on the roads than cars in your city. Okay, so you're making them imagine this, you're kind of hooking their attention, and they're going to read more because they're enticed by it. So then after I filled all of that in, then I'm going to look at my conclusion. We want to identify different aspects that really wrap this up. So we can recap all of those subtopics. We even can mention the counter argument. We can say about safety. And we can, again, in the text, as you'll read in the sources, it talks a little bit about that. But we can even mention that counter argument and use it to our advantage and you'll see how when I read the essay, you'll see that counter argument in there. And then you have your wrap-up sentence. So this is an innovative program that has too many positive benefits to both the city and its citizens. So again, just kind of wrapping this whole essay up with going back to those positives so that the person who's reading your paper sees all those positives and they, again, have that opinion that you have, and will go out and hopefully take a stance on this argument if it's important to them in their community. All right, so now I'm going to, after you've done your plan and it's completed, then you're going to go and start writing your essay. So you'll do this throughout the week, and you'll finish by the end of this week, and then you'll, again, self-assess. So I'll read each paragraph to you, and then you can use this to help you write yours, and use this kind of as your model. But you, again, want to put your own flair onto it and your own personality and voice, because that's also in the rubric. So that's important to remember. And you'll see that hook is right there in our introduction. And we want to make sure that our writing flows between paragraphs and that whatever we have here on our plan, subtopic 1 is convenience to citizens. That should be, when we get to body 1, that should be the subtopic for that body paragraph. So here we go. Imagine seeing more bicycles than cars on the streets of your city. This is a real possibility with exciting bike sharing programs popping up in major cities around the country. I think my community would greatly benefit from a bike share program. From the convenience of hopping on a bike to its health and financial benefits, there's not much else left to be desired. Let me tell you more about why this program would be ideal for our community. So I introduced with the hook, I had a little bit of a lead in, I identified the main idea, and then I transitioned into the body paragraphs. So here's body 1. And again, our subtopic, which is we're looking at our plan, our subtopic is convenience to citizens in cities. When living in a city, it can be a hassle to get around from one place to another, and it can be frustrating. According to the article, Bike Sharing Programs, it says that the program gives people the option to use bikes to travel short distances around a big city. Citizens wouldn't have to worry about driving their car just to go a short distance. The bike stations are also very convenient and located all around the community for easy access. These stations also have easy-to-use electronic machines that are self-service. Now, let's see how these programs are not just convenient, but also have health and financial benefits. So you see there, this last sentence is our transition, makes it the paper have fluidity when we're going in between ideas, subtopics, so it flows nicely. Also, as you can see in this paragraph, I included direct in-text citations by making sure that I have my quotation marks and I'm saying what the source is and then what that text evidence is to support my subtopic. So you want to make sure you have that at least once in your paragraph, and you want to make sure that you're citing all of the sources in your paper. All right, so now let's look at what the subtopic for body 2 is, and that is the health and financial benefits of having a program like this. So let's talk, and let's see if we have that in our body 2. You may think that renting a bike can be costly, but it's actually cheaper than the alternatives. In the article, Bike Sharing, a Great Idea, it says that this program allows people to borrow and use bikes for a small price without having to buy one and store it. Not everyone has a place that they can keep it, and it may not be a safe place. You wouldn't have to worry about your bike being stolen or losing your money. In the second article, it also states that riding a bike is great exercise and promotes a healthier lifestyle. I believe that giving people opportunities to improve their health with programs like this would do amazing things for our community. So again, we kind of wrap that up in our transition sentence, wrap up that idea, so we're ready to move on to the last subtopic. Again, you have those citations, but in this paragraph, we paraphrased. So we didn't have direct citations with quotes, but we identified the source and then put it in our own words by paraphrasing the text so that it kind of fits into our paragraph seamlessly and it doesn't seem choppy or robotic. All right, so now we're going on to body 3. So let's again go back to our cheeseburger model and see what the subtopic is. And that is the city benefits. So how does the city going to benefit from this program? And we said decreased traffic, decreased air pollution, and an increase in jobs. So let's see if that aligns to body 3. On top of all these personal benefits, this program would also benefit the city in several ways. First, cities are welcoming bike programs all around America, which shows signs of their success rate. Rush hour wouldn't be as bad with less cars on city streets. This would not only limit the cars and congestion, but also the pollution from burning gasoline in cars. This would keep our community cleaner. According to the article, Bike Sharing, a Great Idea, it says, because the programs have become so successful, hundreds of jobs have already been created. The city would employ people to fix the bikes and for customer service. Programs that benefit our economy are definitely worth having in our community. Okay, again, we wrap that up in that wrap-up transition sentence. We have a direct citation from the text, and then we elaborated a lot on this topic with a couple personal anecdotes to kind of sell this idea to the public. And also that's why we included here, cities are welcoming bike programs all around America. Again, it shows that buy-in to our readers. All right, so then we know that our last paragraph 5, is our conclusion. So again, we're just going to reference our plan, and we see that we wanted to acknowledge the counter argument of safety so that it clears up any concerns for our reader. And then we're going to recap all the subtopics. And then we already have written our wrap-up sentence or our takeaway message, and that will be at the bottom of our paragraph. So let's read the conclusion. Although some people may say that this bike program may cause a safety risk, it really is no different than incidents that happen with cars. In source 3, it states that you need to be alert and be careful to not bump into anyone walking beside you. With its convenience, health, and financial benefits, as well as the economic benefits, this program is a no-brainer. This innovative program has many positive benefits for both the city and its citizens. Okay, so that wrap-up takeaway message is a really good last reminder of the positive benefits to the citizens of the city and the city's well-being overall as well. Here we referenced the text, again, to identify our counter argument. You don't always have to identify the text, whether that's an in-text citation or paraphrasing in your conclusion, only if you feel like it would be beneficial. Sometimes you would rather spend more time recapping each of those 3 subtopics in your conclusion, but here we wanted to mention that counter argument so that the reader would be invested in our viewpoints. All right, so that is the full 5-paragraph essay. And now in your packet, you have a blank copy of version of this, and you also have this version if you want to print it out or just review it while you're doing your own. Make sure that you have your cheeseburger model completely filled out, okay? And then, of course, after you're done with this, then you'll look at those 2 rubrics, the ones that I used to assess you, and you can assess yourself out of 16 points on the convention rubric. So here we have the different scoring points, and then out of 20 points for the content rubric. And then this one, you can give yourself half a points in between the 1, 2, 3, 4 points if you feel like your work is almost there or kind of is in between. But make sure you read the descriptors and make sure you're looking at those scoring elements to make sure you're hitting on all those areas, just like we just did for the informative essay. But again, that major difference between the informative that we've done and this is that now you are trying to persuade. You are giving your opinion based on the evidence that is provided to you, and you're trying to sell your audience on this viewpoint. One other thing I just want to mention is that in this example, we see our paragraphs are at good length. We have at least 5 sentences in every single paragraph, introduction and conclusion included in that. So make sure that you have 5 sentences in each, skipping a line, indenting in between paragraphs. And that's really it. So this is what your focus will be for this week. So it's kind of guided. You can go back, like I said, and review this video when you're working on each step. So on Monday, you're going to be reviewing all these documents and obviously watching this video, taking some notes on that introductory Oreo video that I posted. And then Tuesday, you'll get into completing your plan. Wednesday, you'll start writing. You'll also be writing on Thursday. Friday, you'll be finishing up your conclusion and then self-assessing yourself. And remember to keep all of these documents together. Keep them in a folder because you will want to reference some of these for week 2 as well. I hope this is helpful. If you need any more assistance, feel free to reach out to your homeroom teacher and they'll be able to help you or guide you in the right direction if you need some more specific assistance. All right, good luck, everyone.